So I'm going to try to keep this short because I know you guys barely watch these. So I'm just going to make my first point very clear. A vaccine is just using the immune system. It's like getting soldiers ready on a castle wall. That's it. That's all. So if you want to stop now and quit, that's fine. But this is important information that you should know for your life, okay? Your immune system works because a virus will come in and attack it. A virus like a cold or flu gets us every year because it mutates. So our immune system isn't trained to recognize the cold or flu. Not so for the coronavirus. The coronavirus has these things called spikes. And that's where it got its name, because it looks like a crown. Corona means crown, same as the beer. What happens is our body, when corona first comes in, attacks it, realizes these spikes are foreign, attacks it, and some people succeed in killing it off, and some people don't. It depends on the mutation. The more recent variants are harder. Now, the beautiful thing about mRNA vaccine, and I want to stress that some important part, mRNA does not mean DNA. mRNA is a letter. It's like if you compare mRNA to DNA, mRNA is a letter, DNA is the post office, the whole organization. mRNA never goes near the nucleus where the DNA in your cells are held. mRNA has nothing to do with DNA. It's unfortunate that it has that name because people think NA, same thing. It ain't. Second, mRNA vaccines are actually safer because what happens with an mRNA vaccine, which, by the way, this is the ingredients of an mRNA vaccine: water, sugar, salt, and the mRNA, I guess you could say, technology. It's a strand that goes to your cell and says, start building the spikes. So this strand comes in, tells your cell not to build the virus, but just to build these little spikes. And the cell builds them and attaches them on the outside of its cell. And then your immune system comes in, you feel nauseous, you feel sick, because when your immune system is working hard, that's why you feel sick and nauseous. It's the temperatures to build up more immune cells. And the first ones attack and just destroy, but the important immune cells are called memory cells. So after it's done attacking these spikes, the spikes are then eliminated, and the mRNA sequence, the strand, is also destroyed. Has nothing to do with the nucleus, DNA. It's not replicating. It's not entering any other systems. It doesn't affect pregnancy. It doesn't affect anything. All it does is trigger your immune system the way you would if you got sick. The other benefit of NRA as opposed to old vaccines is old vaccines used to have the dead virus in it. And this used to potentially lead to things called shedding, where you could still pass the virus on to others. mRNA does not contain the virus, just the spikes, therefore there's no shedding possible. So that's another rumor going around. It also does not have fetus in it. Another bullshit rumor. It has nothing like that. There's no fetus involved in this development or technology, or ever has been. It's just your immune system given the virus so that it can learn how to fight it. And once your cell learns it, it develops something called a memory cell. Now, what happens now is your cell, your immune system, knows the corona spike. So when you are exposed to corona, your body attacks instantly. So normally, the immune system, when it attacks, it takes time, and like I said, sometimes it wins the battle, sometimes it doesn't. But now that it knows it, it wins the battle all the time. That means fatalities for seniors is now 0. And that's the good part. Sure, the protection, by the way, is clearly advertised as 90%, so you'll hear people say, well, you can still catch it. Yes, 90% means 10% will still catch it, which means 1 in 10 will still catch it. However, because your immune system is so well prepared now, you will not die. Your immune system might still let it through the castle wall, but your soldiers are so well armed now that it will kill it before it has a chance to damage your organs. And a lot of people are saying, boiling this down to who dies and who doesn't, you'll hear the 99.7% argument a lot. which is now down to 99.1% because the new variants are more deadly. But the problem is if everybody runs out, two things happen. One, everyone gets sick. Two, hospitals' beds get full. That's the whole point. Three, people who normally would get a bed don't. Four, they now die when they wouldn't normally, which means the death rate jumps anywhere up to 10%, now becomes 90% to 95%, depending on who's ready in the hospitals. And that's the problem. This thing would be much more deadly if we all ran outside. Now, you might say, if I were to get it, not a big issue, and you would be right. Technically, if you're young enough and you've had the virus, you now have the antibodies. The problem is there's been cases of people getting it twice and 3 times. That's not to alarm you. Again, chances are good. Being young, you will probably not have an issue with it. Your body has experienced it. Oh, the second problem with that other scenario, if everybody runs out and gets it, is mutation. Viruses breed like crazy, and when everybody's spreading it, we get new, what they're calling variants. That's what's happened. New variants are more deadly. That's what's dangerous, when you let everybody just run around and spread it. That's another importance of vaccination, and it's called herd immunity. When enough people are vaccinated, the virus essentially dies, and it no longer spreads. When you don't get a herd immunity, the virus spreads still, quietly and small, and mutates often into something more deadly. Why is it often into something more deadly? Because it mutates in every direction, weak and strong, and the strong survive. So mutations that we see tend to be the stronger mutations. There's plenty of mutations that die and don't go anywhere. It's all random. So you might still say, well, again, if I've had it, why would I need the vaccination? There's 2 points. Vaccinations help with the side effects. People have shown that they lose their smell, lose their taste as a result. Smell and taste are linked. And that sucks, to lose your smell and taste. But also people get migraines, lung issues, not terminal, but regular lifelong issues. And they're called long haulers. It means they didn't die. They're just incredibly ill for the rest of their life. Vaccines have been shown to help with some of those symptoms. So it's important to get vaccinated. But also, if you can catch it twice, the vaccination really reduces that. Finally, you do have the antibodies, but there's no proof that you're still not passing it, so you could still pass it on to grandparents and seniors, and that's the other reason not to do it. And the vulnerable. You can have friends who are vulnerable. So there's a whole bunch of reasons to get vaccinated and not many reasons not to. Now, I know you guys are already aware of this. The only reason I'm sending this video is because there's so much misinformation out there, and I want to tell you this stuff is not true. It is FDA approved. It does not have fetus in it. It does not affect pregnancy or anything else or DNA. That is bullshit. The DNA is in a nucleus in your cells, and it does. MRna never goes near the nucleus. It does not have all these weird ingredients that they say that it does. Not true at all. Formaldehyde, all that other shit. Anything designed to preserve it now is usually refrigeration. What other bullshit is out there? We do not see people dying from the vaccination. You'll hear people saying 3,000 people dead from the vaccination. Not true. You'll hear about the blood clot. The blood clotting issue is 1 in a million. Do you know what your blood clotting issue is for birth control? 1 in 1,000. Do you know what your blood clotting issue is if you catch coronavirus? 15%. 15 out of 100. Now, good news is when you get a blood clot when you're young, your body usually clears it up. When you get a blood clot when you're old, you get a heart attack, stroke, possibly death, but often with physical impairment for the rest of your life. So another reason not to do it. All the stuff you're hearing out there is from people fear-mongering. It's become political, and they're fear-mongering because they want to win the war against science. And yet, here's the other thing. Science is all around us, and it is proven. It's all around you. You can't say I'm using my cell phone and electricity, but doctors are wrong. It's all part of the same science. Science is the only thing that gets peer-reviewed by every scientist in the world. That means when I make a discovery, it cannot go out into the real world until all scientists agree that my discovery is valid. And that's the only profession that does that. There's no other profession that does. That's why science is a big deal right now and an easy argument to win. It's proven and it's reviewed by every other scientist in the world before it ever gets manufactured. Now, that doesn't mean to say that they don't know other issues, but not with vaccines. Vaccines is 100 years of knowledge, and there's 20 years of an mRNA vaccine knowledge already here. This is just the first time we've developed one. I hope that helps. I hope you listen past 10 seconds.